Affinity Designer 2.3 comes with some great features, but it also comes with this really unusual one, Isometric. Isometric you can find here, Window and Isometric. With Isometric panel, you've got these options along here, front, side, top. But you think, oh, what does that mean? Well, you can create designs like this. You can also go and create designs like this, and also many different designs like that with text as well as other paths and much, much more. So let's just go and create a complete fresh document. Now at this point, the grid is your basic grid, your basic one. So if I just go and add a circle, so like that, perfectly reasonable, just adds normally. Isometric's not being used. Key thing for this, go to View and Show Grid. Also quite useful is the snapping. So I've just turned everything on, snap to grid, snap to, etc. and enable snapping. So with that, I can apply that. So if I say add that, I want to now change the grid. Go to the isometric, which you can find in Window and Isometric, and go here to modify grid. So click there, and you've got this panel pops up. And you can see I can go through all these options. You've got basic, that's the basic one like this. So if you want it just put it back to normal, just go to the basic one, and that's exactly what you've got here. But you can go to advanced, and in advanced you've got quite a few options. Advanced, you've got standard, and you've got isometric, you've got all these other ones as well. Obviously they're all diametric, you've got trimetric and so on. Now some don't work, or it seems to ignore it. And there are a few quirks with this. I'm not saying it's not everything seems to follow exactly correctly. But you can go here, horizontal triangular, and you can see I've got a design there. So I'm going to go with that. So it's slightly confusing when it says isometric. Obviously, you might think, oh, it's just that one. There are other options. And you've also got this as well, cube. So you can modify it, move around. You can see as you move that, you can see, just change that. And this is really quite powerful. Lots and lots of options here. So click close. Well, I've created that path before, that curve. So that curve was already there. It's not following that grid at all. Well, how do I do it? With it selected, fit to plane. So just go here, just go down there, fit to plane. And I'm using front, so fit to plane. So click. Now it's following that. So if I go over here, select the move tool, I can reposition it, and it's still following that. And I can resize it, all these things, all are still following that item. I can rotate it, do all kind of things, and at any point fit to plane if you want to just put it back to follow exactly what it thinks is fitting to the plane. You can also go here to side, so just click there, fit to plane, and it will put it to that. Top, let's click that one, fit to plane, and so on. You can just change it, and you can see you've got this. It's great for creating sort of three-dimensional designs very quickly. So let's just go and add maybe a more standard design. That's just a rectangle. Obviously you can go with many different designs, all these shapes, text, etc. So just to create it again, you can see now I've got that. So it follows that grid. Now I can go here and I can just go and add, let's add another design, something like that. But I want that to be my front. And I can say fit to plane. So that one, I can just move that there so you can push it there, obviously resize it a bit. And you can see you can build up very quickly a 3D design and maybe create another one. Let's just create another one there. Again, obviously it's still using this one. So go to side, fit to plane, and you can see now very quickly you've got your 3D design. Obviously very basic 3D design, but you can resize it and so on. So that's a very basic way of creating an interesting design following this grid. But also what you can do, let's just remove that and remove that. I can duplicate it. So hold down the Alt Option key. So you can just go there and you can see that still follows it again, and so on. You can go down there and you can see you can build up very quickly a lovely grid at a slightly different angle than your conventional angle. And again, like there. So you've got that grid. Also, if you want, select them all, go to front, and then go again, fit to plane, and you can then change that. Or maybe go to top, fit to plane, and so on. You can move them around and resize them, and it all follows exactly correctly. So again, hold down the Alt Option key and you can then duplicate that design. Now you can do exactly the same with type as well, or text, obviously in Designer. Now, annoyingly, Affinity Photo 2.3, you can actually go into that and use this isometric, but it doesn't follow it. But you can create the design in here in Designer and then go into editing photo and try and use something, but there's no isometric. Literally, as soon as you create anything, do things, it doesn't seem to follow it particularly well. I mean, maybe there are good features with it. Maybe you can bounce back and forth. But again, this panel doesn't exist, so you can't go fit to plane and all those sort of options. I would love to see isometric in the other one, but it's not there. So let's just create another design. So here, let's go for some type. So artistic text tool. So you can click there and you can put something. I'm just going to put a bit of gibberish there very quickly. And you can see it follows that grid. And again, you can go here and you can think, wow, I don't want the current grid. I can go grid settings and I can move it. Let's just rotate that around, tweak that. And you've got settings here. You can just change it there. Second axis, you change that, change setting here, change there. And you can see you can create that. Click close. Obviously, it doesn't follow it now. So fit to plane, as long as it's selected, fit to plane. And it then fits back to that. And side, fit to plane, and you can see there, front, fit to plane again. And you can see now it's following that. And again, hold down the Alt Option key, and you can duplicate that. So you can create multiple copies of that. So again, select all those, just select them all, hold down Alt Option, and you can see it will follow that. But again, you can still rotate, you can still do other things, and I'm just going to resize it, but side with that lot selected, fit to plane, and you can see then you get it that way instead. Obviously, the other ones are not selected, they don't change. It's a pity there's not an option on there just to fit all to the plane. That would be quite nice. However, it's not there, so you need to do this. Now, there are other options you can see there. Let's just select all those and again go back to a very basic shape. And you've got here flip horizontal in plane. So you just click that. Now, in some, obviously, it's not going to have any effect, but you can see it does change that. So you can do that. Also, rotate anti-clockwise in plane. So you can rotate it. Also, rotate clockwise as well. You can also use this feature with one of the new features of 2.3. What you need to do, with that object selected, just go over here, select the Move tool, and press Return or Enter on the keyboard. And you get this panel pop up. And then you can go here and you can say scale 94. And you can see as you do that, it follows that grid, follows the grid. So you can, of course, change the grid later. But I'm just going to do some rotation. And now, once it's rotated, of course, it changes it completely. But you can go back to this grid later. So let's just click the duplicate. Number of copies, let's just increase that. And maybe not change that. Maybe go with, say, a scale of slightly greater than that. And you can see you can create that sort of design. Click OK. And now you can see you get all the layers. Well, obviously, it doesn't follow the grid. So just make certain they're all selected. And you can then click here, Fit to Plane. And you can see the design is then placed exactly as it should be. Select circle, you've got that design there. Let's just change the colour so you can see it maybe a bit clearer. With that, again, make certain the Move tool selected, press Return or Enter on the keyboard, and you can go for, say, horizontal. So it's just, and you can see as you do that, it moves exactly the same as before, exactly the same as normal, and you can modify the scale, rotation, etc. You can also do duplicate, number of copies, and you can see you can increase that. Also, what you can do is you can go here. You can click here, Enable Transform Origin, and you can see then you get that little blue, and you can move this around, and you can see you can reposition it. So you can create some very interesting variations of that move, scale, and rotate, just by moving this position and using this grid. Now, what you can then do is click OK. But then you can also go here again, and with those all selected, also front, you can click there, or top, and so on. It will again fit to plane will change that. Very useful feature of Isometric. And you can also do the same with type. So just go over here to the text, I always call it type, and you can type something. Again, you can put a bit of gibberish, and you can see then with that, you can then resize it. Again, it's still following that grid. But again, select the move tool, press return, and again, duplicate. And you've got scale, and you can see you can scale it. You can also go rotation, but again, you can do the same with this option here. Let's just bring that up. Unfortunately, it's off the edge, so you just see it here. So again, enable transform. Now it's just hidden there, blue. It's very hard to see, but a little blue thing. You can move that, reposition it, increase the number of copies, and you can see it zooms there again. And you can also use horizontal or that way. And again, click OK. Now, at this point, you can then do exactly the same as before. Make certain you get all the layers selected, so they're all selected there. And once all selected, side, fit to plane. And you can see you can change that front, fit to plane. So it's a really nice feature. And you can obviously continue to manipulate this. Let's just go over here and resize that, move it around a bit, rotate it. And again, at any point, fit to plane. And you can see you end up with that. So let's just change the grid again. So grid settings, and you can go here again, and you can manipulate this, or go to advanced. Maybe this time let's go for something slightly different. So let's go for triangular. So you've got triangular there. Click close. And you can add the shape. Now you can see here, it doesn't like that one. So there are some of the grids that it just refuses to work with. So if you find that, all you can do is go here, modify grid, bring this up, and instead just select one like diametric, then close, and again you can then fit to plane, and you can see you get this panel. But if you select one you can't, you will notice it just doesn't allow any of this functionality for your grid and your pass. You can also use the feature with this feature. Let's just go here, create another. Again, you can see it follows that grid. But you've got here, this is quite nice because you can actually go to the contour tool and that follows it. So again, the contour follows very nicely with that. You can go along here. You've got a load of options. You've got radius, contour type, but also you've got here, fill. So let's just click here and you can create a very quick donut design. With that, again, move tool, press return or enter, and then you exactly the same as before, you can duplicate, create a number of copies, horizontal or scale. So let's just go with scale. Let's just change the position there, and you can see it zooms out that way. And again, let's just change the scale or number of copies, and it will zoom off in that direction. And click close. Now at this point, you'll notice there seems to be a slight issue with obviously the color. So what you can do in this case, simply select here, make certain the fill is obviously nothing there. So let's just go over here, click there, and you can see you've got this design. Obviously, when you've got a solid colour, it just all overlaps. Now, you could probably use blending modes or other things, but I'm just going to change the width there, and you can see your design. And that does create some interesting designs as well. But again, it's still following this grid. So isometric, click there, fit to plane. Now, obviously, it's in the plane there, so side, fit to plane, and you can see you can create, click top, fit to plane, and that creates a very unusual design. You can also use it to create some interesting layout designs. So let's just go over here and select rectangle and again create that. Maybe create another one and create something like that and something like that. And of course you can create multiple different designs in different colours. Let's just go for, say, a blue. Well, once you've got that, you can select all of these, and at any point you can always go over here to the isometric again, side to side, front, fit to plane, and you can just move it around. Again, reposition it. Again, it follows that design. But also, of course, grid settings, click there. Again, just subtly change it. Maybe make it go down that way. And close. Fit to plane, and you can change that angle. So you can create some very interesting layouts and designs simply by just clicking there with multiple objects. Also, say you want some nice depth in it. Well, go here to the layers, you've got all of those selected, you can click effects. Click there, and you can go obviously for 3D, let's just go for 3D. And exactly the same, you can go with outer shadow. So outer shadow, push the radius there, and I'm going to go with maybe a bit bigger than that, maybe 200. So you can make something like that. And offset, opacity, just reduce that down, offset, and so on. You can just tweak it all kinds of different ways. Again, that still follows that grid. So if you go and click here again, isometric, you can go to side, fit to plane, and you can see that follows that. Top, again, fit to plane, and you can see you just by moving it around, you can create, again, interesting designs, which again, you can go here, grid settings, and you can just tweak it, go maybe advanced. Let's just go for oblique, and you can see that, click close, fit to plane, and so on. You can also import images. So go to File and down to Place. And then once you've got that, select a file. Let's just select something. I'm going to go with this one and click Open. Now, first, if you click it, it doesn't default to the plane, which is fine, but it would be nice if it did have that option, but it doesn't. You can move it around. Again, it's not fitting to the plane. But you can just simply go over here. In this panel, Isometric, Fit to Plane. And straight away, that's using the top. Maybe decide, I don't want that one. I want side. So click there, fit to plane. Or front, fit to plane, and so on. Also, what you can do is you can duplicate this. So hold down the Alt or Option key, or maybe use the Move tool and press Return and get this panel up. But I'm just going to do with the Alt or Option and duplicate it. So hold down the Alt and Option key and drag. And you can create multiple copies, all still following or fit into that plane. But what you can then do is with this one, say, don't have to select them all. You could select 2 or 3, but I'm selecting just one. I can click here, side, and fit to plane. Top, fit to plane. It's a pity that there's no option for just automatically fitting to the plane. Would be nice. I don't know why I didn't add that option just side. So whenever you click here, it does it straight away. Instead, you always have to remember to click fit to plane. But you can see you can create some very interesting designs, say something like that. Just so you've got that angle, then that angle, and so on. And of course, you can go up here and you can do the same. So front, fit to plane, side, fit to plane, and so on. Sometimes I go and click the wrong one. So, and you can move it there. And you can see you can create a lovely zigzag design with that image. Of course, at this point, you think, well, what can I do now? Well, you can save it, of course, but you can also export it as a JPEG or PNG. And then you of course can use it in Photoshop or other applications. So File, and go down here to Export. And in that, you can see the image there. So you've got your lovely zigzag design, which you can create very quickly using this approach. Now, cancel at that point. But also at this point, you can also go over here to Isometric again, Grid Settings. So click there, maybe go for Cube, and you can select this, maybe change that, and you can see you can make some very intense lines there. Close, and with that one selected, simply go over here, fit to plane, and you can create some very extremely distorted designs. And also, of course, continue to still resize it, rotate it, and much, much more. You can also use it with gradients. Just go over here, the rectangle tool, and of course, it can use any shape. I'm just using a rectangle, for example. Could be a circle, could be a star design. And you can see it's filled with gradient. So go over here to the gradient tool, click that, and apply your gradient. And you can see now you've got this gradient applied in a very unusual way. It's filled via the swatches. So you can select any of these swatches. So just like that, maybe that line design. And you can see that design then. If I go up here, I can click front and fit to plane. Now sometimes it doesn't seem to move. So click there, select the move tool, and then fit to plane. And then it does. Slightly odd, but still. Top, fit to plane. And you can see it just subtly changes that gradient. Again, side, fit to plane, and you can distort it, especially with the grid settings. Click there again, and just move that around, maybe create a less extreme grid. Click close, and with that, again, move tool selected here, you can then go to top, fit to plane, and you can see front, fit to plane, and so on. To create some very interesting combinations of gradients. Now, of course, what you can do, hold down the Alt or Option key and duplicate that. Now let's select a different gradient there, maybe a nice colourful design. Again, go here and select gradient tool, and you can see you can build up that kind of gradient. But what you can do with the move tool, go over here, normal, and multiply, maybe go down here, and you can see if I select difference, you can see you can create some truly weird and wonderful gradient designs very quickly, which you can then obviously resize the shape and then manipulate this gradient. Now, as before, I've got this one selected. I can go here to side, click that, and fit to plane. And you can see then it changes position. Again, combining with the gradient below, you can create a variety of different gradients. And of course, at this point, do exactly the same as before. You can always go to File and Export. So File and Export, and then you can export your gradient design. You can create literally all kinds of unique designs that way. And I'm going to cancel at this point. Affinity Photo doesn't come with the isometric feature. It's a pity. It would be really nice if it would. But still, what you can do, go and select any shape, any design. It could, of course, be an image or type. But I'm just going to go with this, a circle. Click there and make certain I can actually see it. Click here, Effects, and give it now to shadow. Just quickly increase those. Now, what I can now do is I can actually rasterize it because I want to turn it into a pattern. So Layer, and down here to rasterize, and yes, rasterize, then go to layer and new pattern layer from selection. Now there's no pattern layers in Affinity Designer, but you can use them in Designer. So new pattern layer, and you can see your pattern. You can resize it, and also you can remove the other layer. So let's just delete that. Well, once you've got that, you can now go back into Designer. So File, and Edit in Designer. Now you'll notice one thing when you go into Designer, let's just go into Designer, the grid is not there. You need to display that grid. So View and Show Grid. So you put that back on again. But you also notice the grid is just your standard grid. Standard basic grid. And of course, it says in order to use it, go to the grid and modify grid. And then you of course got isometric there. You can see you can change that and close. Now you get all the various functions. Let's just go fit to plane. And you can see then it fits the plane. That pattern layer now matches exactly. And you can then go here to the move tool and resize it, reposition it and move it around, and it will follow that grid. You can also hold down the Alt Option key and duplicate that and create multiple copies or maybe multiple different pattern designs. So let's just remove that. But at any point you might decide, you know what, I want side. So click that, fit to plane, and it will change that angle. Front, fit to plane, and so on. And you can resize it, of course, and continue. Also, you can go here, flip horizontal, flip vertical, rotate, and you can see as you do that, it will change. And of course, you can still, at any point, click here, grid settings, go here, maybe oblique, different one there, close, and again, fit to plane, and so on. So you can create some interesting pattern designs very quickly. Also, once you've done that, of course, File and Export. Exactly the same as before. You can see now you've got your pattern design slightly at a different angle than it was originally. Now, at any point, of course, you can always rasterize this design. So with this, now if you go over here, Layer, Rasterize, just go there, Rasterize, so it turns that into a pixel layer. Of course, you can resize it. You can see now it's just a standard. It's not going outside of the document or anything. Exact same before. You can then fit to plane. So click that and you can see that design also fits in different ways. Or side, fit to plane, top, fit to plane. You can also use the isometric panel to create some interesting 3D designs. Not the easiest way of creating them. I would love to see an Affinity 3D, but what you can do, you can either use the shapes to build a design up, but you can also go over here and use the pen tool. So with that, simply click here and you can create all kinds of different shapes. So just click there, down there, and of course, let's just move that there to there. And then you can go over here and click that, maybe go, let's just all the way there, click that, maybe go there, click that, and you can see you can build up all kinds of designs again. Just change the color there, obviously to get your 3D, obviously you want a bit of shadow there. And again, you can click here, so click, now, didn't want that, press escape so you don't continue it. And with that, just go there and click, click there, click there, click there, and click there. Maybe this time just change that, maybe make it lighter, and so on. And of course you can then fill that there. So let's press escape again, click that. Oh, didn't want that. Escape. And go over there and fill that area there. So close that. And you can see straight away, you've got a very rudiment. I mean, it's not the world's greatest 3D tools, but still you can create some interesting 3D designs. And of course, you can select it, hold down the Alt Option key and duplicate that design. You can build up sort of complex, more complex design very quickly using that. You can select all the parts of this object. So I'm just going to select them all, make certain they're all selected here in the Layers panel. You can right click and then you can go down here and group. With them all grouped, makes it easy to move them around so you can reposition them. You can also resize it, but also you can go here to the Isometric and you can go here to front. So click that and fit to plane, and you can see you can then move that around and reposition it. Go with top, fit to plane, and side, fit to plane, and so on. So you can build up all kinds of unusual designs that way. But also what you can do, flip horizontal in plane. So click that, and you can see that's flipped. Flip vertical in plane, again, flips again, or rotate again. So you can see you can build up some quite interesting designs using that. Again, it's never going to replace an Affinity 3D tool. That would be brilliant. Of course, as before, you can always go to the grid settings, click that, go down here, and instead of oblique, maybe go with, say, trimetric left, and you can see you get a slightly different grid there. Close. Now, fit to plane. Again, you can create some unusual designs simply by clicking, rotate, and so on. Also use the feature to create interesting pyramid designs. So just go over here, go for this, rectangle, create a basic design like that. Once you've got that, fit to plane, just click there. And of course, you can use these, front, side, etc. But I'm going to go with top. Once you've got that, just go down here, click effects. And I'm just going to add a bit of depth. So 3D, just increase that. And also outer shadow. Outer shadow, set the radius to about half and then close. Well, what you can now do with 2.3, go over here, select the move tool, press return, and then just go here and set the scale. So I'm just going to reduce the scale a little, 96, 94. Go for duplicate, obviously 2 copies, and then just increase that. And as you increase it, you can see you end up with a very basic pyramid design. And of course, you don't have to go with 25. You could go maybe 26, 20, or maybe change the scale. So you can just change it 93, 95, and so on. Variety of different settings. Well, click OK. There's your design. Of course, it's just made up of lots and lots of layers. But what you can do, you can also select all of them. So make sure they're all selected. And then you can go up here and you can go for, say, side. And then flip, fit to plane. Or maybe go for front, fit to plane. Or, of course, you can always change it using the grid settings. Change all the settings. Or go here, flip horizontal, flip vertical, and rotate. And you can do many other things. How to reset it to your basic designer setup. So if you apply now, I'm just going to use a rectangle. You can see the rectangle's applied, but obviously at an angle, obviously the plane there. Well, you can go over here, isometric, grid settings, click there. You've got all the settings here. And you can go here, basic, just set that to 10 or 1, whatever. But as soon as you've got basic, you'll notice you've now got a square grid. Click close, and any pass you add will be like that. Now, there appears to be no way of, say, selecting this or this one and then setting it back to a standard rectangle. You get this and that's it. The metric panel can also be used with many other features of Designer, such as this, paste inside. This design is pasted inside this rectangle. Once you've done that, you can move things, duplicate things, and what you can still do is exactly the same as before. So fit to plane, and you can see you can create some very interesting text effects as well. Well, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Thank you much.